Hello, good evening, and welcome to the May Day edition of the Transruptic Show. I'm your host, Steven Jackson. I'm the Chief Example Officer of Transruptic Incorporated, and I'm the head Transruptor. And joining me on my right is the lovely and gorgeous Natalie Price, who she has been in Chicago all week and has come back talking about Chicago pizza and Chicago hot dogs are better than New York. Tell what you got for us, Natalie.
Hello, everybody. Natalie Price of Priceless Consulting. Thank you for joining us tonight. So, Stephen, we have a really interesting topic for tonight. I don't think it's one that we often think about, but I know that since COVID, it brought this up a lot, right? So it's not just about Black entrepreneurship and being entrepreneurs anymore, right? It's about, do we have the ability to hire? To be able to bring on a staff, to be able to have a staff that we can start building out our systems, our processes, right? I think this is an interesting topic. I think it elevates the conversation around entrepreneurship.
Well, yes, because a little over a week ago, I started writing an article on entrepreneurship, business owner, CEO. And those are actually three different levels of mindset, three different levels of executing. And to get from entrepreneur to business owner, get from business owner to CEO, you got to do some things. And one of those first things is going to be about bringing in the right people. So definitely, and we talked about during the state of the culture, 96% of Black businesses have 0 employees. So we're doing nothing to move the economic dial in our communities if we're not generating any jobs, any internships, any journeymen. We're not creating anything. We're just a bunch of solopreneurs and hustlers just making enough money to do what we think is necessary. Not that I'm going to say there's anything wrong with that, but imagine just to see how far you could take a business. And that's what happened to me. And actually, my last company was RDZ Media Group. So I got a contract to do, concert tours, be a producer on the concert tours. And I did that, and I did some other live events as well. And I wasn't really focusing on making that company really serious until about 3 years in. And I was like, well, how far can I take this company? And that's when I got serious and I became certified. I joined the New Jersey Minority Supply Development Council. I started working on the branding and everything else. And then naturally, staff grew and everything else started to grow because we started getting more business. But like I said, in the beginning, I was happy just doing this 6-week, 24 city concert tour and maybe a few other off sites and just have made enough money to live, but not make enough money to really make an economic impact. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, to go from the just living portion of running a company to really making a change in your community.
And, it's funny that you say that because one of my business partners always used to say, you're really not a business until you hire people, right? And I used to walk around and I used to be so upset because I'm like, but I get clients. I mean, I'm not really looking to build a people-based business where I'm hiring people. I never thought about that part of business, right? I was like, I'm cool being a solopreneur. I'm cool being just doing my own thing. But for the impact that I want to make, I've started to realize that that mind frame is going to have to change, right? For the growth that I want to be able to bring to my community, the impact that I want to have in my community, I'm going to have to change that mindset, right? It's not going to work. Just some numbers really quick. So it, the we account for 14% of the population, right?
Oh,
Yet,
we grew. We used to be 12.
right? Well, if you so let's say that that means we're only 2.2 of serving that we employ. We only employ 2.2% of the population. It's not
Yeah,
enough.
we have about 107,000 businesses that actually black businesses out of the 2 million black companies in America. About 107,000 of them actually have employees. That 2.2% you just talked about.
So, what do you think the areas where? One thing I found interesting is that most of the black labor for work and entrepreneurship and community and everything is tied together. We don't think it's tied together, right? But it very much is. If we pay attention to other communities, they definitely hire within. They hire within themselves, their cultures, right? So that reduces their unemployment footprint, which we see a lot more in our culture, right? Because
Correct.
we're not employing each other.
Yeah, correct. So we're dependent upon other entities to create employment opportunities, and it was interesting because there's a Center for Urban Development. They did a webinar. They actually did a whole live and online virtual hybrid event talking about helping employers hire more in the New York City area. Right, they're talking about that. Employers need to step up because the government has done basically all that they can do, but they need private enterprise to step up with employment, and create more opportunities. So, it's interesting. So there's always been this meme that's been going along on social media that you do not need a degree to run a business. You just need a degree to work for the owner who owns the business. So it's kind of like, where do you want to be? Do you want to be fighting for to get this job? But even if you are a solopreneur who has started your own company, my thing is, how do you think about moving past just being, this one person? What could you do with your time if you had some other people who were doing the tasks that don't bring in income? So my number one thing that I like to do, I don't like to focus on stuff that is not income producing. Bookkeeping, it's not income producing. I don't want to do it. I would rather have a bookkeeper come in once a month and run and do the books, or twice a month, whatever it needs to be. But it's something I'm going to look to outsource. If my company is big enough, then I got someone in house managing the books, making sure things are getting paid, right? Your social media, so these are all things that don't necessarily produce an income because they're not tied to you producing the product or service and delivering it, but they need to be done in order to grow the company. Now, when you start to put staff in place, now you get to that point where, guess what? You can now focus on growing the company, because now you have the opportunity to really see what else can you do. Can you bring in a new product line? Can you expand it to a new neighborhood? Can you create a model for franchising the company? You can't do these things if you're doing 99% of the work. Like you said, Natalie, you were getting clients, but you also had to do all the work that came with getting the client. So you had to get the client, service the client, deal with all the client's wants, needs, and desires, and depending upon how needy the client is, that could take up a lot of your time. You have to, then you got to find time for your family, and other things that you want to do. Where do you get a break to build a company?
No, that's it. It's so true. One thing that I was able to do is I said to myself, $100. That's actually easy to part with each week, right? And if I can pay somebody, hire an admin for $25 an hour, 5 hours a week, that's $100. How that's just a start, right? But what would I do with 20 extra hours a month? What income producing thing can I do with the extra $20, 20 hours a month? And then I said, well, that's only really $400. So anything that I do, as long as it makes 400 plus, I've actually see a return on the investment.
Right. And that's a good way of looking at it. And that's the way, unfortunately, some people in business don't look at it, because they look at the cost of bringing in someone. They look at it as a cost. When you see something as a cost, it creates almost like a negative thought pattern within you, because you're seeing, oh, God, I got to pay for this, versus something like you just said, look at this as an investment, because when it's an investment, now I'm looking to make a return on it. So now I'm going to make certain that those 20 hours that I'm paying this person for, I'm not shadowing this person. I'm not standing over this person. I'm out there doing what I need to do to make some more money to pay this person and create some more income for the business.
There you go. I have a. I'm looking at this report, and one of the things that it said is, now let's say that we are a Black business and that we're able to hire. Then it goes back to wages, right? What are we able to pay? Right, and one of the reports that I'm reading says Black businesses pay their business an average, their employees an average of a little over 29,000, compared to non-Black business owners with an average of 51,000, a little over.
Well, think about it. One, there's a different reason for that. That could go to the type of Black businesses that are out there. The majority of Black businesses are not tech-related businesses, so where they can, you can expect those higher salaries, and also look at the revenue of our Black companies. They also are falling far behind of the rest of America. So we know that Black women are the largest creators of businesses in the country right now, but they also have the lowest revenue of anyone. And the answer has been now to just throw more grants and more money at to them. That's helpful, but they still don't know how to scale, how they're going to scale up, how they're going to bring on a team, or even create a team. It's not going to, once again, it's not going to improve the bottom line of them creating more revenue for their companies. Now, there is a serious advantage if you're early in your early stage of being an entrepreneur, of bringing in a team. Once again, it's about freeing up some time for yourself to be able to do the things that bring in more income. And the first thing everyone thinks about, I'm bringing someone in, I got to come up with wages to pay them. Okay? And all compensation is not about the paycheck. Okay? And that's where we start to get creative and think. So if you had done the work and created a foundation for your company, that means that you have filed the paperwork, you spent $150 or $225 or whatever it was, and you have an LLC or you have a C Corp or whatever it is, S Corp, whatever it is, then you have the opportunity to give people in your company shares, a piece of ownership, right? That can be utilized in place of paying a high salary. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's and that's one way. The second way is not everyone has to be full time, and technically, not everyone has to be an employee. If you can bring in someone as a contract person, where you just say, "This is the assignment I want to be done," right? There's no time schedule, so it doesn't fall afoul of the IRS 20 rules to determine if a person is an employee or independent contractor. Then that can work in your favor. So now you're paying a person just to get something done, just to do these tasks. You're not monitoring. They don't have to do this from 8 to 10. They don't have to attend a weekly meeting. They just need to do the assignment that they're contracted to do, and you're paying them according for that. The good thing about having contractors in the early stage is that you're not paying for unemployment insurance, workers' comp, and those issues. The contract person is responsible for those things themselves. At the end of the year, they get a 1099, and they're responsible for their own taxes. When you start to bring someone, even on a part-time basis, you still have to fill out. You have to give them, some unemployment, some. You have to give them some benefits, even when it comes to a part-time person. Then there's another thing that one can do. Let's talk about virtual assistants. Okay, because that's when the first that was my first, first set of hiring I did was I brought in a virtual assistant to do 32 hours I get every month from this person, and they are completing certain tasks for me.
Mm-hmm.
Tasks that I don't want to be bothered with, that is not going to help me produce, it's not directly related to producing income, but is directly related to the operations of Transruptic. Okay. So once again, is that an expense? Is that a cost to me, or is that an investment? You see?
One thing that you also have to take into consideration when you have to know what you're hiring for, right?
Yes.
Sometimes we're not even sure what we're hiring for, what the task is. And I think that's where the systems come into place. What am I hiring for? How does this onboarding look like? Right? Even if you have a virtual assistant, what is the manual you're going to give that virtual assistant of how you like things to be done, right? So you have to decide, am I hiring somebody and understand the role and capacity that I need them at? Or do I need to hire somebody that's going to help me understand what I need to hire? Those are two different hires.
Correct. And the good news about if you're going down the road of virtual assistants, just about every good virtual assistant agency has a way to onboard, help you onboard. So they don't just say, "Hey, here's a group of people, pick one." No, they're going to ask you questions about what your needs are. And then that gets, the company that I chose, it was, a good almost 5 minutes of me answering questions on this online form, so they get the best to understand what it is that I need help with accomplishing. What do I know? What can, and they was able to match me with someone who could fit the skills that I was looking for. Okay. So, the good news about this is that you're 100% correct. However you're hiring, you do need help. You do need to understand what you're hiring for. Here's my co-star camper. He's feeling great today because he got groomed, so he got washed and nails clipped and stuff. So he wants to be all up in the show, showing off his clean, shiny coat. So I'm gonna not pay him any mind today. But that is pretty much what you're looking to accomplish. You want to there's information out there that can help you understand how to hire, what to look for. And it's, once again, these are questions that you want to have with people in your industry, or, other business owners. One of the things I was being interviewed by a young lady who owns an organization called Black Barter. Right, so just created this whole Black Bartering Association, and she was asking me some questions, and the questions were really eye-opening. One of the first questions she was asking me was, what does she see as my next 3 hires? Right, and I was like, that's a good question. I said, well, one of those hires would be a CTO, because the way that we're growing and scaling, I need someone a COO. I said, because the way we're scaling and growing, I need an operations person. I need someone to really handle the day-to-day operations of everything that we do. I said, I'm going to need someone to manage all of our affiliates. That's a national program director or affiliate manager. And then I said, I'm going to need, and I always love to create a sales organization because I want to groom someone to be a national sales director. But it caused me to think about how I'm going to grow my company, right? And what I want to see my company scale to. And then I got to put other people in place to do that. That's me now thinking like a CEO, not thinking like an entrepreneur. Okay. The entrepreneur was back in October when I was first thinking of this company. But now I'm already at this stage where I'm thinking like a CEO. I'm thinking about, okay, I need to have these divisions in place because this is what I'm going to grow and scale to.
I think the other thing too, I want to talk to the entrepreneurs that are in you're doing it, and you've been doing it for years. I've been in business for almost 15 years, so I've been doing it, right? But I've been doing it at the level as an entrepreneur, and I'm aware of that, and I feel like I've done a very good job, but I am ready for that next level of growth. But I think I had to go through everything I've gone through to be ready for where I am, if that
Okay.
makes sense, right? So it's what the reason why I'm able to speak to this today is because of what I didn't do 5, 6, 7 years ago, right? So now I have a different way of looking at it. But for those that you're in it and you're like, gee, I really do need to start thinking and shifting the way I think. I think it happens in accountability and routine. I think it really happens when you say, okay, one thing I see a lot on Facebook is people saying, everybody thinks I'm so good at everything. everybody thinks I can do everything. I do not like when people think I can do everything. When people think you can do everything and you're good at everything, then you get bothered a lot. All right. And then sometimes that constant feeling of you can take care of it, or you can do it, or you have the skill set, or you're able to pivot and take care of it feels good. Right. So you really never nurture what really needs to be nurtured in your business. And I've had to learn that there's different zones that you work in. And I cannot work in things that allow me to stay in the zone of competence. Right. Like, I'm good at it, I can do it, but I'm not great at it. Right. So anything that does not fall into a certain zone for me, where I can do it really, 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 really well, I it's not for me to do. It needs to be outsourced. It needs to be in somebody else's hands. Right? Now, it doesn't mean I can't do it. For instance, I know how to build a website. I understand how to do that, right? I should not be building a website. That should be somebody else's role. And that took me a long time to understand and really recognize, and just not that, but act on it.
Yeah. Oh, so now you're going down one of my favorite places to be. It's called DIY, the do-it-yourselfers. And it's interesting. I wrote a blog post about this about 10 years ago, that DIY is a silent small business killer. So the thing is that you are good at many things, but not everything that you're good at is applicable to you really successfully running your business. And then some people think that I'm going to save money by doing it myself. Okay. So so here's the thing. Like you said, let's take web design, because I've been designing websites since '94, something around that nature. Good at it. Okay. So I start my company. I know I need a website. And let's just say I'm not great at website, but I'm only, good at it. So I start to learn about designing the website, right? I start to build it. I could be spending anywhere from 10 to 15, or maybe 20 hours, right, just to get a basic website built, even if I'm using a free platform like Wix, because it still takes some learning curve to understand what you're doing. What else could I be doing with that time, right? Why would I not hire an expert, someone who professionally does this, is their business, to do that? Pay them, some sort of payment plan as they are building it out, and allow me to go out there and get some funds to pay this person. Okay? And too often we think that we're saving money by doing things ourselves in business, where in actuality, time is a serious commodity of money in business. How you spend your time is really your currency. So if you're spending your time doing all this busy work, and that's what we call it now, busy work that don't bring in an income, but yes, there are things that need to be done, you're wasting currency. You're wasting money. And that's why I call doing it yourself too often a small business killer. It's like me. I don't care to do bookkeeping. So if I was to go out there and spend $300 on QuickBooks, around that price, and then I got to spend another 10 plus hours to learn how to use it for something I'm only going to use once or twice a month, I really just burnt through 16 hours and $300, or maybe more. I got to pay for the training. Let's say the training cost me $1,000. I'm out $1,300. Well, I could have gave that to a bookkeeper to do on a regular basis, and went out there and spent those 10 plus hours of learning how to do bookkeeping, right, to actually make some more money, get some more sales, close some more deals, sell some more product, and then be able to pay the bookkeeper. Here, you're paid. Let me go and do my thing.
I think you get better clarity of that, and I'm guilty of this. I think you get better clarity of that when you really truly understand how much you're worth. Right? I don't think when you're not clear, like when people don't know how to price their service, their or anything, you don't know how much you're worth. It gets really hard to break down those numbers, because I understand my hourly rate now. I just times how much time that's going to take, and I'm like, yeah, that's 5 hours. That's a lot of money in my dollars. It would actually be cheaper to hire somebody, but that's because I understand time is a value.
Good.
Right? So I think once people get clear with that, that helps them.
You're right. And time is, you have to put, and it's interesting because, when we do this through break even analysis, the one thing we ask everyone to do is to include how much an hour their time is, because whatever it is task they're working on, those are billable hours. And you need to think, it's kind of like you got to think like your lawyer and your accountant. I mean, attorneys are very good. As soon as you pick up the phone, the clock starts. As soon as they read an email, the clock starts. I get a bill from my attorney, and I'm like, where you get all these hours from? I mean, they're accurate. They be like 7.6. I like, really,
You're like,
really
what?
0.6. Like, really now. But they're very accurate in how they use their time. And small business owners, entrepreneurs need to be thinking about this the same way, because when you think about how much your time you're putting in, how much each one of those, how much an hour that time is worth to you, and it needs to be based upon you being able to do what this article that's necessary, be able to pay yourself a salary to maintain your expenses, to pay off all your household expenses and things of that nature. So I want to digress for a moment. One of the things that we do on this show is we do our best to give you proper information, but then we gotta always deal with a lot of this other stuff that is not correct at times. A lot of disinformation, a lot of journalists. I don't even call them journalists no more. These people are just writing just so they can get, they're just writing so they can just get paid to do something, So Essence Magazine. Right? Hold on one second. There we go. Essence Magazine took a report from a company that was basically into the funnel business and said 37% of entrepreneurs sell enough to take profits or salaries. Right? So you look at this and you probably right now and say, why would I want to be an entrepreneur if only 37% of people in the market are able to take a salary or take any profits? Now, this looks, and they said, here's the opening statement. Are you thinking about starting a business in hopes of making more money? You might want to think again. That's the opening statement. So right away, the statement is like, this is a negative thing. But if you get deeper into the article, first of all, they said they asked 976 entrepreneurs and small business owners. Now, we just said there's 2 million black businesses alone in the U.S., not even talk about all small businesses et cetera. So you just went out there, interviewed 976, with 441 were men, 514 women. Some were identified as non-binary, some preferred not to say anything. And the age range was from 18 to 76 years old with an average age of 40. And you have come to the conclusion that your chances of being able to be profitable in your business is going to be slim and none. Based upon this, to me, I'm just going to call it shadow research. But then they end with a positive note. Another 73% reported they felt confident in their ability to generate the sales their business needed. So when we get articles like this, I need y'all to, really read this article, read articles like this, but don't take this like this is the gospel. Like I said, this is Essence looking to, sell their publication, get people to read their publication. So they hire these freelance writers. These freelance writers go out there and they find stuff and they create an article out of it. And the company, they just went and did this, what I consider really faulty research. That's the thing about secondary research. You always got to check the source, which is coming from, and the purpose of why it's out there. So when you're out here researching about hiring and you're looking at research numbers and stuff like this, please check your sources so that you're getting good information on it. Because if this is the case, you're going to feel that you're not going to ever make enough money to pay someone, right? So why go through all this to even think about, I want to build a company where I could pay employees? Because if this article was true, only 37% of people in businesses are going to make any money that's going to allow them to be profitable or pay themselves a salary.
And the other thing too is that knowing who did the report, which is the organization Sky Nova, they sell like online invoicing and all of that, right? So when you think about the companies they probably surveyed their clients.
Yeah.
Right. So it's understanding who is the collector of the information and doing a little bit of a deeper dive with that.
Yeah. So that's why I just want to just make that mention because we're talking about, really making an effort to grow your company, and bringing on a team allows you to do that. So, one of the things, the reason that I got into this whole conversation was because the way of Transruptic was built. So the idea of Transruptic actually started in a mastermind group that I'm a part of, and every week, we're discussing and getting different ideas and new ideas. But one of the things I realized early on was I needed a team because my skills are limited. My skills are limited. But by bringing a team together that can do the things that I don't have the wherewithal and full knowledge to do, makes this an even more powerful company. So that's the reason why I reached out to two of my daughters. One is very strong in financial. She runs credit. She does credit repair for women who are women who've been in abusive relationships, stuff like that. So they're going through shelters and they may not have credit, because they've been whatever situation they've been in. My other daughter, she has been very strong in leadership development and small business development. She's an excellent coach, understands it, and I reached out to them to be a part of this company. I reached out to another gentleman who I've been very working with, with when I was part of the workshop and business opportunities. We had a great relationship. He's been writing curriculums for over 20 years for the city of New York. He understands this. I reached out to him to be a part of this company. And this is, the first thing I'm offering them was like, hey, guess what? You are all owners. You're going to be part of this. We're going to be sharing. I'm sharing stock with you all. So they have a class of stock, and then my other daughters who are not necessarily a part of the company, they have a class of stock for them as well to be a part of this. So that allowed me to begin to build a team. Then I said, okay, I need a virtual assistant. Definitely needed that. So I reached out to a company, and I'm paying about almost $360 a month to use for 32 hours of a virtual assistant. Works out very well. This is an American-based virtual assistant. A lot of virtual assistants, not a lot, but there are a number of them that are Philippine-based companies. I have nothing against that, but it was really good to find someone who is African-American in this space and can do the same type of work. So this brain trust of individuals who come together has allowed Transruptic to look really 180 degrees different from my vision. And that's really a great thing because my vision would have been just my vision. Not a lot of things I would have seen a possibility. Mm-hmm. And that's what I mean by when you bring individuals together early. So there's been this thing amongst entrepreneurs to keep their idea a secret. I don't want to discuss my idea because I'm afraid someone's going to steal it. And that's not necessarily true. When you're putting your idea out there, you start to attract
people with the same energy.
The same energy, who are on the same vibration plane, who could bring something to your vision, help make your vision grow. And I want our producer, please bring up that graphic from Instagram. I want to talk about this particular company. So here we got 30 black men who have gotten together to start a company to help blacks in Baltimore buy homes. Now I want you to think about this. 30 black men got together, pooling their resources together to create a company. Now I'm almost certain that they don't all see everything eye to eye. They may have someone may not rock with each other. But the point was that they looked at an outcome of a situation and they decided to pool their resources together to make that happen. I applaud those gentlemen, and that's something that needs to be replicated more and more around this country. It is not about when you're starting to grow a company and you're only concerned about you can only see your money. As I tell everyone, my money is limited. However, our money is limitless. This is about, really getting together and forming unity, partnerships, whatever that may look like, that can take your company further in these growth stages.
That's a really good point. I think that more collaboration is definitely needed. More working together is needed. So I'm going to say this. I have a collaborative mindset. I do think that sometimes it has hurt me as a small business owner, right? Because sometimes you put yours aside to continuously help people to move their ideas forward or their concepts forward. So I think a collaborative mindset is important, but also make sure that you know the value that you're giving and make sure you're getting that value back as well.
Right. So here's another. So we just gave you another solution. This is it. You're an entrepreneur, right? You got limited funding, and you want to scale your company. I'm saying start to put your ideas, talk about what you're doing, put it in areas where you can attract other people. Join some sort of think tank, join some sort of mastermind group, where you're getting together and you're getting ideas, or you can discuss a concern. You get other people to chime in and can show you other resources that you yourself may not see. I have to admit, the mastermind group that I'm a part of, I get something out of it every week. I get an idea, or I get something to say, hey, this is something I can add to the company that I didn't think before. Matter of fact, I remember and it's about being committed to do it. So we every Thursday from 12 to 2, we have office hours. And I was actually I was in Virginia Beach, headed to the hotel, and we was early, and I'm sitting in my car, actually in a rental car with my daughter, listening to the program, and one of the members said something so profound that it generated an entire white paper from it. I mean, that idea was so great. I'm like, that's a whole research topic, and that's where the first white paper came out, Entrepreneurship as a Career Path for People of Color, because she said, what if black people thought of entrepreneurship as a career path? You see your business differently if you see this as a career, not a side hustle. And that's what made us write that report, because of her putting that out there. And I'm like, oh, yeah, we're going to do this is research, And yes, she is as listed as a co-author of that research paper, But once again, it's collaborative effort, You don't have to work in a silo or think you're the only person on the island by yourself. And you don't have to, if you're stressed about how you're going to pay people, look at how you're going to invest in people. Some people will rock with you because they just want the opportunity to sharpen their skill, to be a part of this, knowing that there's going to be a bigger payoff later. It's how some films have gotten built, have gotten produced. One thing I like about the film community is that they will come out, right, and help you shoot a film, knowing they're not going to get paid right now, but know that if this film makes it into the circles and stuff, they will collect. Not they're going to get credit on it. They want the credit. They say, hey, add this to my portfolio. But then also know if this film, really starts to grow some money, they can get paid. So they're willing to come out there and be a PA, production assistant, producer, camera person, whatever it is, to help on these type of projects. We need to think about how do we do this in other businesses as well. Be collaborative, okay? If I want to open up I'm going to open up a fruit stand or whatever that may, a restaurant or whatever. I need to think about how can I collaborate with other people, and not, even though I don't have income, but I got enough money to do this, versus having all this other income that I think I need and don't have. So I was talking to, and this is where we get, this once again, this is about community. Because if a community isn't, like those 30 gentlemen are involved in building helping people buy homes, that's a powerful community right there. Right there, you got 30 representatives all over Baltimore helping black people do the number one thing of wealth generation in this country is home ownership. That's powerful right there, because in the last several years, black home ownership has also taken a dive. We own less home, and it's getting harder because corporate America is now buying up homes.
Buying up all the homes. So, Stephen, you say entrepreneurship. Why don't we think about it as a career? And I always like to challenge people the other way around too. Why don't you think your career as your entrepreneurship? We're not seeing enough black executives in certain positions that are needed. I don't think we understand the impact of you being the executive of a wholesale distribution plant, right? And getting a say of the kind of vendors that gets chosen, right? Those vendors can be manufacturers that are black and brown. That gives you a voice, right? So entrepreneurship, I look at it in two ways. I look at it as you owning and scaling your own business, your own entity, but I also look at it as your career and where are you going in your career, right? Because there are plenty of C-suite executives that are making six-figure salaries, right? With, plus they get car stipends each month. So it means you're basically not paying a car payment or car insurance on top of that stipend, right? What could you do if you're making $250,000, $300,000 a year? What can you do? What can you invest in? What can you buy? Who can you help? What can you do in your community? Right? When
Well,
we think about investors, where are they coming from?
well, you're 100% correct. You know, the interesting thing about that is that I see that there's going to be some ingenuity. Blacks are going to be creating some apps that's going to allow, you know, these executives to pool their money together and invest in different black-owned types of businesses. You know, so we're starting to see that. We've seen Serena Williams, you know, created a fund for women. We've seen a few other rich individuals who worked hard to make their money have started to create these funds to invest in black businesses, right? But, you know, they're looking at a specific type of black businesses. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, you like anything else, you invest in something, you want your money back, make some money and make a good return on it. The interesting thing about venture capitalist funds is that the majority of the money that venture capitalists put out there, they don't make a return on it. Most of the companies that they invest in just don't scale to the point where they get their money back. You know, so they're kind of making these crapshoot bets. You know, I'm gonna bet across the table, and if I get one or two winners, you know, that take care of the 9 to 10 losses of the others. You know, so I understand it. So I don't. You know, you brought the thing about, and that really goes into what we consider supply diversity. Right, when you have C-suite executives who can make these buying decisions, and the thing about supply diversity, that's something that has been battling. There's an organization called the National Minority Supply Development Council. They got about 30-something councils around the country. I used to be part of the New York, New Jersey council here, and I was actually MBE. I was a board member as an MBE, Minority Business Enterprise, and I've received several awards from them as well for Supplier of the Year. I've learned that if the C-suite has not bought into supply diversity, the rest of the organization really doesn't do much around it. So there are some companies that are very serious about making sure that they are inclusive. They don't just say it. They don't just show up. They don't just hire a diversity officer. They really practice it in everything they do. And there are some companies that, you know, they just say the words. It's kind of like Black Lives Matter. Everybody came out and said stuff. You know, every corporation said, you know, good stuff about Black Lives Matter. But not everyone, you know, put some energy and action where it should have been to create a change. And that's what happens with supply diversity. So you could be that executive, right, in that C-suite and still not have the power to make the change that you want to make, you know. And that's the unfortunate part about it. And that's the difference in why, you know, I'm a big fan of entrepreneurs scaling and growing so that they can, you know, instead of me getting a seat at the table, you know, let me just build my own table, you know, instead of waiting for a seat for you. And that's what these gentlemen are doing. So I want to talk about this other organization, the Gentleman's Factory, which I've learned about them around 2018. So the Gentleman's Factory is a men's social club, and they're very strongly based on entrepreneurship, helping one another. And what these guys are starting to do now, Jeff Linder is the founder of it. They had a space on Prospect, not Prospect, I forgot exact street, but it was it was in Brooklyn. And what they're looking to do now, they're expanding in different areas of the country, but they're looking to buy the buildings that they're in. Okay, so they changed their mind. They changed their mindset to say, hey, we got all this capital of our members, several thousand of our members. Let's utilize this capital now to go out and own the property that we're in. And that's very important because I always look at, I had a gentleman I know had a very hot restaurant up in White Plains, New York, right? I mean, this restaurant was really raking in. And the owner's son looked at the restaurant and decided he wanted the space. And he basically just threw that guy's, you know, he had to leave. He wasn't going to renew his lease or anything. So, you know, once again, if you don't own, you can't really control everything about your business. So they have worked around and said, you know, son, we're going to take this to another level. What we're going to do is, and they had, even through the pandemic, they were still growing, because they went virtual and it was still increasing because we still, it was a great place for people to come, to men to come together and deal with issues and, once again, collaboration. This is all, this is an opportunity to collaborate with other black men, right, to help you solve some problems or help you gain some allies or some strategic partners to grow your business or even to launch your business idea. Okay, so it was in Prospect Lefferts Garden where they started at. But like I said, now they're looking to, own property. That's his mindset. That's Jeff Linder's mindset now. He like, wherever we are at, wherever our expansion is, like right now they're purchasing a building in Harlem and they're inviting their members to invest with them. So it's like I can own a share and own a piece of this property. This is powerful.
And just remember, when we decide to invest in property, we're deciding to invest and forget.
Right.
Right. It's not It's not in 6 months. I need no. Right. So you gotta set it and forget it with this.
Right. So, but this goes back to the concept of you need a team to build your company. How do you find a team? How do you bring on people, right, to get involved with you to help you build your company just because your money is limited and you're so concerned about what I got to pay them? If you start to think creatively and think outside the box, you will find other ways to pay people, other ways to get people part of ownership, give them some sweat equity in the company, something, right, so that they are showing up. And I have no problem with sharing ownership, giving people a percentage of my company, because me having 100% of nothing ain't worth it,
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's one of the reasons why people go on Shark Tank. They go on Shark Tank, or they go to look for venture capital because they say, hey, I need an influx of money to get to that next level, and I don't mind giving up 20 or 30% of my company if I have to do that, because I still got 70%, or I still got 70 or 60%. I may still have 50%. 50% of a $100 million company is a lot better than 100% of a $100,000 company. Mm-hmm. Do the math, do whichever way you want to do it. So when you get into these situations, you're starting to think about, how do I get to the next level, right, to really scale my company, to really make it a force in the community where I'm impacting my community. And that's what we want. That's what we are focused on doing at Transruptic. Our focus is not about just teaching entrepreneurship. Our focus is to get you from the entrepreneurship stage to the business owner stage, where you have processes, you have some employees, you have some staff, even to get there, to start to think about how you're going to become that CEO. Mm-hmm. Because when you're at that business owner stage, you're at that CEO stage, you could do so much more for your community. You can start to help the local nonprofits in your community with volunteer of your time or volunteer of your staff time or even giving them money. And also, more importantly, you can really start to get behind the politicians that you really think would make the right changes for your community. We are right now, here we are. And it's interesting, I saw a meme that says this older woman said, I don't believe that I got to protest this again. So we're right now seeing a big shift that's going to happen in this country, and all because we have allowed certain politicians to stay in office too long.
Yep.
Way past their usefulness. Okay? And because they're there, because they don't really represent the communities that they really serve, and we see this from local city politics all the way up to our Congress and Senate, mm-hmm. right? We can make those changes with our dollars. Business owners can actually put more dollars into campaigns, like I've done over the years. Okay, there's politicians, local politicians, and state politicians who I've been supporting, because I want to see them continue to do the work, mm-hmm. and do the positive things for our community. They need money to get elected. They need time to get elected. I have one of our good friends, Rocky from Waco, Texas. He's been working hard to get this woman back into the city council. He said, Steve, I work phone banks. I done put up signs. He's really done work. And of course, he's done work with his dollars as well. But there's certain people you want to support because they mean best for your community, as opposed to certain politicians who only show up when it's election time. You only see them for 3 years. You don't get no comments from them for 3 years. Your cries are going on, and they don't even care about you. They're more concerned about the corporate who is giving them the real, the bigger dollars. But they'll come and get your vote.
And also, I need start paying attention to how public hearings are being held in your local community.
Yes.
I know that pre-COVID, you had to go wherever your capital was or wherever that is, and that might have been difficult. But now a lot of the COVID implemented Zoom meetings, they've kept them in place. So now you can speak, you can have your voice be at home and Zoom and do that. And that to me is called, that's the way that equity begins, when access is there for everybody.
Right.
So I don't want us to ignore the small but very powerful steps that equity is presenting itself in terms of access to information and a way for your voice to be heard.
Right, but these things become possible as you scale a business. When you're still a
Hmm.
solopreneur and you're making 70 grand a year, 100 grand a year, you don't have no staff to do help you scale up. You're still stuck at not being able to do a lot with your time, a lot with your energies, because you have a family as well. But when you start to think about how can I bring a team together, how can I get other allies on board with me so that I could really build this company, it may not be 100% of mine, but it would still be the majority of mine. But what's more important, I got some allies help me scale, help me see this vision to make this vision even bigger, right, and more successful, where now I am I can influence my community. I'm hiring from within my community. I'm creating jobs. I create some internships. I create, and I'm supporting those local nonprofits and other local small businesses as well, and that's the importance of what happens when you get employees. So it's interesting. Dr. George Fraser talks about how Asians, right, help solve their unemployment problem. And they have done that by opening up Chinese restaurants in our communities. If you look at the Asian population, every time they open up a business, every aspect of the business they open up, the work is being done by business owners in their community. So if they open up a storefront, the contracting is being done by Asian businesses, right? The stock, the insurance, the painting, all this is being done by their own community. They are hiring these small businesses within their community to open up something in your community to make money for you. And I think that they're investing now into these crab, lobster boil shops and crab shops. They've done their research, realized, hey, black people like this too. Okay, we're gonna open up these stores. I've seen a number of
Yes,
several.
I've seen that.
Several in Harlem. There's a few opening up in the Bronx, up by where I used to live at, up by Parkchester. So they will go out there and once again they're pooling money together. They're
You want to know
pooling resources.
the funny thing is they don't even. So I'm in the nail shop the other day, right? And I'm looking around and I'm saying, they don't even use marketing material for us. Right? It goes back to the vendors and everybody that's used. There's nobody black or brown on their wall. They're using themselves on a lily pad looking like this, right? This not us. And I was just like, wow, a business that does not even have to market to us, through their images. They just have this one look for all of them, and that's it.
Right. So once again, here we are talking about cooperative economics, right? The ability to scale, work with others, but that begins when the mindset starts to shift and say, this is not about we, this is about us. I'm not building a business just for me. I'm building a business to create generational wealth, something I could pass on to my children, something that I could have. I may even one day decide to sell it to the employees, and that is a possibility. You can sell your company to your employee. Actually, you can make your employee owners, okay? And they have a certain amount of shares in the business. As the business grows, they share in the profits of the business. All these are tools to help you scale and grow a company beyond you just being that solopreneur. And that's what I want everyone to start to think about and take away from this, is that there are ways to grow your company besides just the traditional way that I got to have more money to do more hiring. There's some creative ways. There's some collaborative ways that you can do it, but you got to be opening up to that and actually start to go to these locations or even join certain groups where those discussions can be had, like the Gentlemen's Club, or as you see these 30 gentlemen in Baltimore, Maryland, who has done the same thing. So they got together somewhere. Somebody had a conversation that said, hey, let's do this, and invited more. And what they did, they invited more, obviously, to get to 30 people. They like say, go, hey, bring two brothers, bring three brothers, and they start to have this conversation. And I'm quite certain that and not everyone agree with everything, but they came to some consensus to say this is what we're going to do. Just like the five brothers in Philadelphia who saved money, $50 every week to buy housing in Philly, right? So if they can do this and this level, why can't you do the same to grow your company, right? Why can't you get 5 or 6 people to invest in your idea, make them some sort of partners, and you all work and grow this together versus you being the solopreneur because it has to be yours. Or it has to be all yours. If it has to be all yours and you're not making much money with it, why struggle like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I
go ahead.
want us all to remember as well that it's not easy. Nothing worth having is easy. You're always going to feel challenged, but the one thing with challenge is that once you get through the first hump, the next challenge is never as bad. You're always like, geez, that last challenge was so much easier, right? So we adapt to the challenge. And, in business, there's hard decisions. Sometimes you don't pick the right partner and you have to know how to adjust. That's why you have to put certain things in place, like agreements and operation agreements and understanding who's going to be taking care of what, so that your skill sets match the area of the company that you want to grow and be in charge of or work together with. But I think that we also have to remember that there are ways to protect ourselves when we do group work, when we go out there and we collaborate with people.
Yes, ink on paper. So everyone signs an agreement. You're bound by the agreements. You've had a lawyer review them, whatever the case may be, and that protects everyone. I mean, it's like any type of any other investment. You're not going to invest until you put something ink on paper and say, these are the risks, these are the rewards, and these are the rules that we're going to abide by. But the whole thing is that if you at least think that way to say, okay, let me just do this, that creates a whole nother opportunity, a whole nother path to get to where you want to get to. As I said, I think the thing that we have to realize is that we have this thing. I think people think about scarcity more often than they think about abundance.
Yeah.
Okay, so there really isn't any scarcity in the universe. That is a construct. A construct to keep us, going. And I'm gonna say this again. That's one of the reasons why I'm not a fan of the Jeffersons theme song, because you're not going out to get a piece of the pie. There's no fighting for a piece of the pie in the universe. Everyone can have a pie. They can have a cake. They can have as many pies as they want. Because if there was scarcity in this universe, there would be a finite number of beauticians, a finite number of barbers, a finite number of restaurants. But that is not the case. There is abundance in the universe. So, you're not really competing against the other person, who has if I have a barber shop and the guy 3 blocks over have a barber, I'm not really competing against him. Because he's going to get his customers that going to find his style better, and I'm going to get my customers going to find my style better. It's me defining who my market is, him defining who his market is. So it's not like one person has to starve for the other person to eat. We're not like that. Both barbershops in the community will be successful, and we need to understand that if we think about not scarcity but more of abundance, then we're probably more open to collaborating, knowing that there's more to be had. I can't share what I have because there's more that's going to come. That's abundance in the universe. If it's scarcity, then you're scared to share because you feel you may starve. I may not have enough. I won't have enough to eat, and that's really not the situation. And what I really want to do is play this clip from we had the State of the Culture last month, and we had our good friend Andrew Morrison on, and Andrew said a lot of profound things, but he said one really profound thing about entrepreneurship and business ownership and how you should focus on it. So, Jess, do you have that clip ready for us?
So right now, I want someone to listen to me right now and stop trying to build a business. I want you to have a posture where you can begin to attract customers. We can become far more magnetic. You can become magnetic by starting where you are, with what you have, with who you know. Most people undervalue their relationships. There's somebody out there who knows someone. There's somebody out there who can connect you with a tribe. There's someone out there who can connect you with a union, a religious organization, fraternal organization, different types of organization, in an apartment community that actually wants your product or service. The next type of R is your resources. Some of you have tangible assets in your garage, in your storage that you can actually turn to cash. And the third R, final one, is your past results. We always devalue our failures when
Mm.
your failures are actually the basis for a fortune if you know how to properly package that. And so once we bring peace to our past, once we become more present to the opportunities around us, then focus on the contract. Go from trying to sell one book to selling cases of books. And by doing that, your business can grow rapidly.
Thank you. I want people to listen to that clip again because what he is saying is what we talk about: abundance mindset versus scarcity. You know, Dr. George Fraser, I'm gonna quote him because he wrote the foremost book on networking for African Americans. He always say, "You show me the 5 people in your network, I can show you your net worth." You know, so and this is you have resources that you're not even aware of that you won't even utilize because you have this scarcity or you have this fear, whatever. I'm saying let it go, let the past pain go. Okay, so the last deal didn't work out. You got to let it go. There's no need to keep carrying that around in you because it's stopping you from growing. Okay? Andrew and myself have had multiple failures over the years. Andrew had a successful business where his bookkeeper was robbing him. She was writing, bad checks to herself and stuff like that. That didn't stop him from continuously doing what he had to do. Because it hurt, it was painful, but he got over it. I've had multiple failures. I built stuff that I just knew was going to be a hit and couldn't sell one of it. I'm like, geez, I had one year, but I lost 90% of my business income overnight. It was like really like how I'm going to survive this year, and I had great friends like Andrew who kept me from being evicted or whatever that what those things look like. I had some great union clients who I was able to get more business from. Things happen, but if you carry that pain around, you're not going to grow. So the reason I'm reaching out to you because somebody got a bad employee story. Somebody hired somebody. And I'm here to tell you that if whatever that person looked like that you hired, right, and you had to, whatever they did, you had to eventually fire, let it go. I fired my sister after 3 weeks on the job because she became like an enemy combatant. She thought that, she didn't have to really work. She could do what she wanted to do, and that really wasn't the case. So I fired my sister, didn't speak to me for 3 years until she opened up her own beauty salon, and she had employees, and she realized what she did. So we made amends after about 3 years, but I moved on. I didn't sit there and say, I'm not going to ever hire anyone again because I fired my, damn, you got to fire your own sister, man. That means how can I trust anyone else?
But that's a different mindset. So you talked about the entrepreneur, the business owner, but then there's the CEO, and right, like in between the business owner and transitioning into that CEO mind frame. We've talked about this, right? It's the educating of yourself. It's the emotional IQ. It's being right. It's not being so reactive to other people's behavior while you're in business, because once that is, it's hard to make clear decisions, right?
Yes.
So I think that's a different mindset when we start to pay attention to, letting things go. That's that you have to be in that place where you're willing to.
So there's enough money in the world for everyone. Yes, there is. There definitely is, and we keep forgetting that. So actually, Melanie is a part of my mastermind group, so I'm going to actually talk about a subject that we talked about this afternoon because this really means a lot to, it just goes to what you just said. To get to the mindset of being successful, and even Andrew talked about this during our show, the State of the Culture, you got to invest in yourself. Okay, the same way how you put money in your business to get the tools and supplies and stuff to operate your business, you need to be investing in oneself as well. If you're not investing in yourself to help you become a better person, to help yourself get to the next level, to understand where you fall short at and to improve upon those things, then there's nothing that you can build that's going to be scalable and be successful, because it really starts with how you think and how you see the world. It comes with what is on the things that gets your attention. So what gets your attention is what you begin to focus on. And what you focus on is what you make your reality. So if you're focusing on, employees are paying the behind and, whatever, then that's what those are the type of employees you'll get attracted to. Just think about when you think about something negative, how often it shows up in front of you. So investing in oneself helps you get the tools to move beyond that type of thinking, to get to the point where, once again, you realize that there's abundance in the universe, right? And you can attract that abundance, and you start to make decisions, right? That is, can be scary. And there's nothing wrong with having fear of something, but fear is the opening door of excitement. That means you're going to learn something. If you're not scared, you're not going to learn anything new. You're not going to experience anything new. You're right there in that what we call the safe zone. And the safe zone is where the brain loves to keep you at, because its brain number one job is that you remain safe and don't do anything that could possibly kill you. So the brain will sit there and say, no, come on back to the safe zone. That's a little scary. But when you are experiencing fear, you get to learn something new. You get to do something new. You get to do something that you've never done before and make an accomplishment. And as you do this and get out there in the world and push yourself further and further outside your comfort zone, and you learn more, then fear becomes almost like a tool to you. We have a saying we call respect the fear, do it anyway. Okay? So if you got fear of employees, if you got fear of what you made your business, if your business grow, and I can understand that, I think, let's talk about the fear of success. You don't want to hire employees. You don't want to scale your business. You don't want to really see, because you actually have a fear of success. You're right there in that comfort zone, and it feels really good to you right now. I'm making $40,000 a year. My business, is doing just enough for me, and I'm good right here. And that's your brain talking to you. It's going to BS you and tell you, and I'm here to tell you that there is more for you. But it's going to take you to invest in yourself and grow yourself to that next scale where you're willing to take that risk and that opportunity. So it's not about fear, because there's lessons. It's not you don't really it's not about failure. Because there are lessons when you don't reach something the first time. It just means you didn't go about it right. It gives you the opportunity to retool, rethink, come up with a different approach, and go after it again. Okay? It's not about, I got burnt once, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna carry this bad relationship around with me for the rest of my life because, it was one bad relationship. And it's too often, and we do this too often in our daily lives, and the only way we can get over, we gotta let some things go. Gotta let it go in order to actually move on. And that's what investing in oneself helps you to do. So if you really want to get to the next level in your company and build a company that's going to grow and sustain and really give you all that you desire and deserve, start investing in yourself. And then go out and listen to yourself, and then go out and start investing in and putting the team around you. Start attracting the people that can take you to the next level, because they're there. The universe is going to supply those individuals to you. All you got to do is ask for them and be prepared to receive them, and be prepared to open up your mind and work with them.
But Stephen, one thing I want, when you say to be prepared, I think people think be prepared. The universe is going to give you what you want, and it's going to be beautiful and pretty. But sometimes you get people that are actually your challenge, but you needed that challenge, right?
Yeah.
And we don't see that right away, and we discount it and we push it away. And we say, you don't know what you're talking about, right? So I want, when we put the request out to the universe to send me the answer, the person, the place, the thing, whatever that might be, I need us to be open to how that is given to you, how you get that, right? Because sometimes we're not open to constructive criticism, and then that could have been what you asked for and you didn't even know it.
That is so true. It's funny you mentioned that, because I had a 30-minute meeting with a Weibo graduate from the last class, and she was telling me that the first night I was really tough on her. She thought that she didn't meet my expectations, but she went back and did the work, and she benefited from it. So that criticism I gave her was actually beneficial to her. She probably didn't like the way I delivered it, because I know how I could deliver things at times. I could be very blunt. I would say I'm working on it, but that'd be a lie. I do it because I'm very passionate. I want to see people succeed. So there are going to be some days where I'm going to get very, I'm be very blunt, very, because I really want to see you succeed, and I don't want to BS you, and I don't want you BSing yourself. But she accepted a criticism, and as a graduate of the workshop, and she's going to be joining me in the think tank group that I will be starting soon for those graduates, for a certain select number of graduates. So you're 100% correct. Some people don't see the blessing because it doesn't look like it's a blessing at the time. And then there are also some people who are there who are going to be blocking your blessings because you're giving them access to the wrong energy. Those things do happen. But but really, if you're really investing in yourself, and when I say invest in yourself, I don't necessarily mean a monetary amount of money you got to put in yourself. I mean how you spend your time. What are you reading? What are you watching? What are you listening to? Do you take an hour a week at least to read something that can help you grow? What books are you reading? Are you listening to? I go from reading a book to listen to a book. I got, between my phone and my tablet, I always got something to read, or I got something to listen to. I got condensed books and I got regular books all on my Kindle. I don't have the big library behind me of books because, I've been digital for a number of years. I just love reading them on the iPad. And that's, Kindle and Audible are, I got humongous libraries in those two, which I'm glad they based in the cloud, because when those devices went down, I'll be lost. But the thing is that I'm consistently reading something, learning something about myself, learning a way to improve something, learning a way to make something better. That's what I mean by investing in oneself. It doesn't mean I got to go out and spend thousands of dollars on courses or spend thousands of dollars on gurus and other people to, tell me to get in touch with my feelings or whatever that looks like. But I can still invest in myself by just how I spend my time picking up educational materials and reading or listening. Like I said, we all got the same amount of hours in a day. We give priority to those things that we feel are important. So I learned to take some weekends where I'm just going to read this weekend. I don't care what's on TV. I don't care what. I'm not a TV person. I will listen to. I like to listen to music more than I like watching TV. So I'll have music playing, but I'm reading something more often. I'm listening to something if I'm out on my bike or I'm out taking a walk in the mornings. I'm listening to something, and it's something that I can get ideas from and say, oh, wow, I could implement this or I could do this. That's me investing in myself. And that's what I'm talking about. So, there's a lot of great books that you can start to read that can help you figure out different ways to create marketing campaigns or different ways to attract people to your company to work with you. Find some of those books, read them. There's different ways to, there's a whole bunch of, God knows, I think the self-help library of books is probably in the billions, but get some recommendations, read a few of them, and just start to take that journey, or listen to some of the podcasts from, some of these, really top-notch and good motivational speakers. I hate that term, motivational speakers, but that's me personally. Yeah, but that's all those things are investing in oneself. You invest in yourself, then you find it easier to start to invest and bringing on that team to help you grow your company, to help bring in those individuals that you can look to hire. You may start off as an independent contractor, may start off as a part-timer, but the whole point is that they can grow with you. And that's how Jackson Management Plus was. That was my first company. Once again, it's interesting. I've started companies where I just couldn't grow it by myself, because that company was a employee leasing company. So I had to bring on someone who understood human resources. I was a member of SHRM, SHRM, which is Society of Human Resource Management, but I did not know enough about human resource to be out there trying to manage somebody else's employees. I also didn't know enough about payroll. And I had to bring in someone but I learned enough to know what they should be doing. I learned just that amount. but I still had to bring on a team, a human resource manager, and a payroll person or payroll people over time to manage that company. That was not a company I could run by myself. So I had to quickly come up with ways to figure out how am I going to pay these people, right? And I come up with, as soon as I got the first client, I said, okay, I got a client. I need a certain amount of hours per month. I'm going to pay you at the end of the contract for these hours. As I get more clients, I can give you more work till you become a full-time, if you're willing to work with me. That's what I sold my first human resource man and my first payroll manager on. I said, I can't give you a full-time because I don't have the clients right now, but I'm going to get them. And when I get that first client, and I need you to do, if it's 10 hours a month, whatever, bill me for that, right? You do that part-time, whatever. And as I grow and give, then I could bring you fully into the company with the salary that is, and we agreed upon the salary, we agreed upon a stock share and everything else. All that was in writing. And that's how I went about getting those first employees in that company, And, so I had no problem giving up some ownership and find a way to say, hey, I need people. I can't do it myself, but here's some creative ways for me to compensate people, right? While they work with me and we built a company together.
And more than when we talk about unicorn companies and all of these fancy terms that you've heard, a lot of them, that's exactly how they started.
Yeah.
Right? Talent was the asset. Talent was the driver, right? And it was like, if I can align the talent, then we can create the product.
Correct.
Then we can scale the product, right? So, for all of you that are baking cakes or making candles, think about how you piece together to come up with the candle or to come up with the cake. It's all the products coming together to create the actual asset, what's going to be sold, right? That's how you should think about as you're building out your business. What do I need to do to be able to grow this asset?
Correct. That is true. So I think we have really covered this subject. We've given a lot to it. So before we sign off, I want to talk about two things. Always like to put some good stuff out there. So let me start the screen share a minute here. Share screen. Here we go. So Google has stepped up and put up millions of dollars into creating digital classes for entrepreneurs. Okay, you can take a bunch of subjects. It's called Grow on Air with Google, or it's actually growonair.withgoogle.com. So it's welcome to Grow with Google on Air, and they got all kind of classes. They got some upcoming stuff, explore digital marketing, e-commerce skills, negotiate like a pro. They have a bunch of these are all on-demand classes, connect with customers, digital skills for everyday tasks, drive traffic to your website with SEO, showcase your business and products to shoppers online, design thinking for entrepreneurs, level up your leadership skills. So they have this full website, a lot of classes. They have been adding classes for several months now, create YouTube videos that attract new customers. And it even goes deeper. And these are all free, completely free. So you can go in there and look at as many of these videos and stuff as you want and start to build up your skill set. Okay. Once again, the only thing I would say, remember, this is self-study. So pick the ones that you feel you need the most, help in, and start with those and make sure that you can really put together the time, because one of the things that about the self-study industry that we know is that the majority of online classes are never completed. People purchase them or start. It's almost like having a gym membership. Sign up for these classes and you never complete them. And I'm guilty of a few of these myself as well. So the website is growonair.withgoogle.com. Hold on one second. Let me just copy that and put that in the comments. Oh, I can't. I can't drop these in the comments.
If you drop it in Jessica, she'll drop it over there.
Yeah. Okay. That's true. So I'm gonna give it to you, and you could drop this for everyone to take part in. Okay. And there was one more thing I wanted to show. Oh, so next month we're doing cannabis, right? Next month is going to be our program is going to be on the cannabis industry, and already Medgar Evers College has started a cannabis minor program to help individuals in our community be prepared to go for the licenses. I understand that next month in New York State. So right now the tri-state area has legalized cannabis. It's legal in Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey. So so they have a program aimed to provide students the business skills and acumen necessary to get in one of the country's fastest growing new industries. So it's a minor. You won't get a degree in it, but it is a minor. And primarily, this is the first school in the CUNY system that is actually offering anything for people to learn about how to run a cannabis-related business. Okay, and this is being held at Medgar Evers College, and they're right there in the central Brooklyn, really convenient, and really work with the community. So I'm actually very glad to see that they did this. And next month, our show is going to be on the cannabis industry. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about how to get into the industry. I have been an investor in several cannabis companies. I am an investor, stock owner in several cannabis companies. I had conversations with politicians about how they're going to structure legalizing cannabis. I know recently Mayor Eric Adams has devoted like $40 million to cannabis here in New York to make certain that people who were affected by it have the opportunity to be able to get some of those licenses in the industry as well. And that's something we didn't see happen in other parts of the country. Nope. The people most affected by it did not get the opportunity to get those licenses. So, looking forward to next month and our guests for that program. I had to apologize. Actually, we did over an hour and never mentioned that our guests had to cancel. We just
kept it going.
We just kept it going. We apologize. Benny Poe was unable to make it. Something came up, but I mean, we just kept it going. We knew we had a lot of material anyway to cover. And I hope that you all got something that you can take away from this and think about how you can scale your existing business, or if you think about going to business, how you can really create a business of scale. And, my last words is stop thinking about my money and let's think about our money, because we can do more with our money versus you can do with your money.
Yes, I like that. That should be you. You're gonna make that, and you might as well just trademark that little slogan.
Yeah, see, everyone who knows me knows that I would trademark something instantly. So
just do it.
Yeah, I might as well. I know everyone, especially my mastermind group, they know I trademark. First thing I'm gonna do is file a trademark on anything that I think. And I'm actually happy about that because Transruptic is now in the journal, so it has about 20 some odd days before it becomes a registered mark. And a couple of days ago, I got notification that Entrepreneur Ecosystem, which is a key term that we're using for Transruptic, is also in the journal, about ready to be a registered mark as well. And you think about, why would I trademark? Thank you. Glad you enjoyed it. As anyone would think about, why would I trademark a word, two words like entrepreneur ecosystem? It really speaks to what we're doing with Transruptic. So to give you an idea, Natalie, I don't know if you've seen what we have done in the last couple of weeks. I mean, we just been rocketing. So people taking our workshop are going to have web hosting, website, and an e-commerce platform. Our focus is that when they end the 12-week program, they should have generated some sales and definitely generated leads, even before they get into the 12-month think tank. Okay? We are going to be doing small group coaching. We already just chosen a company for that now, and financial literacy. So, and on top of that, I'm negotiating to provide the entrepreneurs in training with a part-time virtual assistant as well. So this is what we are providing to people coming into our program, because once again, I want you to be able to scale your company. I want you to be able to hire people. So in order to do that, you have to have a serious marketing plan and be making some sales. So we got to give you all the tools necessary to do what you need to do, so you can focus on the most important parts of your business. So all this what we have just come, we've been, going over it, and every other day the team throws something at me, and then my mastermind group throws something at me, and then, I'm like, gee, this is a lot different than how I thought it would be, but like I said, that's a great thing. I'm thankful to everyone who's been watching the show, many of my mastermind groups, and definitely my daughters for all the energy and stuff that they bring to the organization. And this is possible really because of who I became. So they've realized that I took my DISC assessment, so I am a high D, but I'm also an I. Okay, so I am an influencer. I do still like to have fun. So I learned to turn down the D. I learned to be open-minded. I learned to say, okay, something, this way you want to go, let's go do it your way. And so I'm more concerned about let's get to the outcome versus how someone does it. So I've been rehabilitated, that has helped me become a better CEO. So now I'm focused. Hey, you want to do it your way? By all means, go ahead and do it your way.
As long as the vision is we understood the vision.
That's
right.
right.
We have to go. You know what I mean? If you want to go this way, as long as it's not affecting the bottom line,
right?
I can rock with you.
Yeah, and as long as it's legal.
That too.
Yes, definitely.
That too.
So that is where we are. That's what we had really been building behind the scenes at Transruptic, and we're going to have a launch on May 21st, May 20th. We're going to have some people will be at my house. We're going to do just a meet and greet, toast, and then on May 21st, we're going to get into the real business of what Transruptic is going to be accomplishing and creating a new, stronger style of entrepreneur. Actually, a new style of business owners. We're not even creating entrepreneurs. We're creating business owners.
I love it.
Yeah, so, and we're doing it through a whole entrepreneur ecosystem because that is basically what we've done, and that's why I went out there and trademarked that term. Okay, Kemper, you got any last words?
Yes.
He's like, okay, we done. Any last words, Natalie?
Yes, my last words are, I just really want you to start thinking about what you said about abundance and lack. Just to I think we have to rethink how we think things, even investing into bringing on people to our team, right? So, figure out how much you're worth an hour, and every time you go to do the work, calculate that and say, wow, can I afford this? Or could I just reinvest this somewhere else so that I can put this time to be able to get the reward on this investment? All right. So I just really want us to start thinking from more of an abundant mind frame, and that just we have to change the stories in our head.
Right. Okay, everyone. Thank you for spending your time with us this evening. We hope that we have inspired you, given you some great information, and help you take your business to that, as I said, to the next level. I'm Stephen Jackson. I'm here with the always gracious, smart, intelligent, and down-to-earth Natalie Price. This has been fun. Next month, all about cannabis. And actually, I could talk about this next month is cannabis. July, we're going to be talking about faithpreneur. And I think August, what we got for August? I forgot what we had in August.
We had something, but I forgot.
I forgot.
Told me yesterday too.
Yeah, I wrote it down. So we got the August show planned out. So we're set through September. Okay. So everyone, have a great evening.
Have a great night, everybody.
A healthy and safe and prosperous week. Thank you. Good night.
Yeah.